This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
It is the Matt Patricia Bowl. I'm here for it. Greg's here for it. It's the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles, brought to you by Athletic Greens, your one-stop shopping for 75 high-quality vitamins to help you start your day right. Greg, let's start with Mac Jones. He was out there in practice. He's been limited, but he's showing progress. Could he actually play on Sunday?
So, it was definitely interesting to see Mac out at practice on Wednesday. The last time we saw him was, I think, Friday when he came out to practice, and he basically was behind this net, didn't move at all, was just throwing, not shifting his weight, anything. And then suddenly on Wednesday, he was at practice, and in the session open to the media, he moved around a little bit. He bounced a little bit. He stepped into throws a little bit. It was definitely surprising to see how much progress he had made since just a few days earlier. I have a hard time seeing him play this week. I mean, it's one thing to in sort of a warm-up situation, like be able to drop back and throw and snap a ball off. Like, it's completely different when you're talking about 325-pound defensive ends and 350-pound defensive tackles swarming around you in the pocket, and you got to make a quick movement and go to avoid something. Unless they want him to play as a complete sitting duck, and really one of the few quarterbacks that I've been able to see do this, Dan Marino comes to mind, where Marino could just sit there and just fire off the ball. Favre did that. I remember Favre played with a ridiculously swollen, I don't know if it was a severely sprained ankle or broken ankle or what. I remember he did play on that one time, but he has the arm strength where he can just sit back there and just get rid of it in less than 3 seconds. I don't think Mac Jones can do that, and so I would be very surprised if he plays on Sunday, which leads into a whole different discussion.
Yeah, would you want him to play? I don't want him to play. I don't think it would be smart for him to play. I think you actually risk him taking another step back if you have him play, even if you get through the game healthy. Like you said, he doesn't have a hose for an arm. So I would I would err on the side of caution, and I would make sure that he is as close to being ready as possible before I put him out there on the football field. I don't think there's any reason to rush him back. And yes, I know Brian Hoyer likely out this week. Doesn't look like he has a chance to play, which leads us to, of course, Greg, one Bailey Zappe. Some people have Zappe fever, Greg. Are you feeling the Zappe fever?
I am not. But before we get to that, I just want to talk a little bit more about Mac Jones on whether he should play, because I think this is a significant point. I don't think that Mac Jones should play until he's as healthy as possible, B, to the point where he is agile enough to make plays with his feet, to run down the field and, pick up a 3rd and 4 or something like that. Until he can do that repeatedly, I don't want him on the field. And that could mean another 2, 3, 4 weeks. I just think, I understand the tough guy quotient. I understand this is football. I understand all that stuff. But when you're talking about a young quarterback who's already had some issues this year, and I'm not talking about his psyche. I have no issues with Mac Jones's mental toughness or anything like that. Even if he does something terrible, like, remember the Dallas game, he throws a pick 6, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he throws a 60-yard touchdown pass to answer right back. I have no questions about his mental toughness. It's more physical. When you're a young quarterback and you don't have the greatest of physical skills and you're hampered in some way, it's not just that injury, it's what else can happen. Like, if he's not putting weight on the front foot, like, does he put more pressure on his Achilles when he's throwing? What about his elbow and shoulder and things like that? What if they get into a game with the Lions where they need to throw 50 times? Can he do that in the shape that he's in and not adversely affect his health in a variety of different ways how compromised he is in his lower body. I just think there's a lot going on with that, and I would be extremely cautious. He's not even halfway through his second season, and I wouldn't. What's going on with Hoyer? What's going on with Zappe? None of that would come into the sort of equation for me. I think that he's too valuable. There's too much at stake down the line. I mean, as much as we talk about this game being a must win, if Mac comes back fully healthy against the Browns and they go on a winning streak, I still think there's a lot of things in front of them. So I just would be very cautious about this. I think there are too many bad things that can happen if he rushes back.
I 100% agree. As I said, I don't think he should play. I don't want him to play. And this isn't all about the other quarterbacks. It shouldn't be about the quarterbacks that are in the room with him. It's about him. You're worried about him. You're concerned about him, and you don't want to rush him back and put him in a position where he could get hurt even worse than he was hurt the first time around. They dodged a bullet, I think, with the high ankle sprain. It could have been worse. He could be out for the season. Why do you want to test fate again? And I agree as far as extending plays and being able to make plays on third and short. We've seen him do that early in this season. That is a part of his game. He's not a super athlete. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he is a guy who can move around in the pocket. He is a guy that can get you a first down if your receivers are shut down on a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Mm-hmm. So make sure, as I said, he's as close to right as possible before he's back out there. I don't think there's a reason to throw him back out there if he's not as close to possible as being ready. I don't know if you want to put a number on it, 85%, not whatever it is, you'll know the eye test. He needs to be ready. Don't throw him out there. All right, now let's get to. I jumped the gun a little bit because I might be feeling a little warm right now.
Yeah, I think you're crazy. Yep.
Zappe fever. Talk about it. Tell me all about Zappe fever, Greg.
Yeah, it's unbelievable around here. Like, when you listen to sports talk radio and everything, like it all started with Jim Murray's dad with his voicemail that he left his son on Sunday night saying, like, yeah, I want to go with the young kid. I got the fever. I don't want to see Hoyer because he craps the bed in the red zone. And he said some not nice things about Mac Jones, which I don't disagree. I don't agree with, by the way. I don't think that Mac Jones is whiny or anything like that. I just think he wants things the way that he wants them and expected certain things. But anyways, we've talked enough about that. But I get it. Zappe is the new flavor. He's something new. Like, the alternative is Brian Hoyer, and you're just like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go back to my wife and kids. Like, I want to go play golf. Like, I get it. Like, it's that type of scenario. Like, I don't want to be in the house all day with my kids all weekend. I'd rather play golf. I get it. But look, the kid is extremely limited. He's 6 foot. His official combine height was 6 foot and 1/2 inches. He's not even 6'1". Decent athletic ability. Okay arm. I think his best asset is his mind. I think he doesn't get too flustered by things. He reacts quickly to things. He's smart. But I do not think he's an NFL starter. At best, he's a good backup, and I think that's sort of why they drafted him. But I think we talked about the context that should have been put into the game on Sunday night at Lambeau in terms of the Packers and their performance and their shortcomings against the run and how that set up to help the Patriots in that game. I just would not look at that and think it's some sort of barometer on what Bailey Zappe can do given more reps and things like that. I think you're asking for trouble if you want more Zappe at this point. I mean, you're talking about a guy. I know he definitely didn't dress against the Ravens. I'm not sure he dressed at all for games before Sunday.
Yeah, look, if you're talking about Zappe versus Mac, come on, give me a break. Way too many people are dumping on Mac early on this season. Everybody take a deep breath and relax. If it's Zappe versus Hoyer, people look, Brian Hoyer is what he is. He's vanilla ice cream. and people want a little bit of sprinkles thrown in. They want their Zappe, and I get it because vanilla ice cream sometimes can be hella boring. So I totally understand. People also love the underdog. He's got the great name. He's perfect for memes and GIFs on Twitter. So that also picks up the fever. All right, let's talk about this game coming up on Sunday. We won't get into the particulars just yet, but big picture, Greg, do you think this game on Sunday is a must win for this football team?
I think technically no, but in terms of what it would do to the psyche of the region and the team, yeah, I do. I mean, to drop to 1-4, we've seen them go 1-3 and then turn things around against the soft part of the schedule, just like last year. That's what they did. And I just think that while this Lions team is better than a lot of Lions teams that people remember, you're at home. I don't really care what the circumstances are. The Lions can't stop the run. They're terrible on defense. I think that the Patriots have to win this game. I mean, 2-3 compared to 1-4, and you go to Cleveland the next week, and Cleveland is an extremely talented team, limited at quarterback without Deshaun Watson, but in terms of talent, I think they're much more talented than the Patriots are overall. Now, whether they can harness that talent or they have decent coaching, that's another topic. But I think in terms of their psyche and the region's psyche, I think it's absolutely a must win on Sunday.
Yeah, 2-3 hits a lot different than 1-4. And when you're a team like the Patriots, I talked about it earlier in the week in the prior pod. The Patriots are in that middle tier. They're not. I don't think they're in the bottom of, oh my God, this team has no chance, has no shot of winning 9-10 games. I think I had them at 9 wins. I think you had them at like 8, whatever it was. They're in that middle tier, and if you want to have 9-10 wins, you have to win the winnables. We talk about controlling the controllables. Win the winnables, and this game is more than winnable on Sunday. You can't let these kinds of opportunities pass by you. Speaking of the tiers, it's interesting, Greg. ESPN in their power rankings have the Patriots ranked 27th. Is that too low for you?
Yeah, it's too low. I think that's putting too much into the actual records. And look, I understand if you're in a different city and you're taking a 10,000 foot view of these Patriots, you're like, they've only beaten the Steelers, and look at the Steelers. They're awful. They've already changed quarterbacks, which is 100% true. And what I tried to tell people at the time, that Steelers team is bad. And the quarterback, especially the offense, is bad. The defense is pretty good, but the offense is bad. And you look at that and you're like, the Patriots, their only victory is they had to squeak by the Steelers. So I understand people saying that. I just think it's unfair. It's sort of like, I watch the Raiders film every week just to sort of keep tabs on what they're doing. And the Raiders are 1-3, but they are literally like a play or two in each game away from being 4-0. And I think they're a good team. I don't think they should be 4-0. They deserve to lose those games because they didn't make the crucial plays in the big spot, like, taking down Kyler Murray at one time, on 12 consecutive plays. All you have to do is tackle the kid once and the game's over, and they couldn't do it. So it's their own fault. But, I think the Raiders are a good 1-3 team. I wouldn't say the Patriots are a good 1-3 team. They got to start stacking success. And, they beat the Steelers. They played the Ravens tough. They certainly played the Packers tough, and that game was there to win. Now they need to put it together. And I think that, 27th, no. I think I look more, and I'm sure people who listen to this podcast know that I look at Football Outsiders and their DVOA rankings, which is efficiency, and it compares every play to the rest of the league in a certain situation, away, home, whatever. And I think to me, it's one of the best measures on teams. And they had the Patriots 19th. They had the Lions 18th. Overall. And so I would say that's more in the area. I think Patriots are right around, they're just below the middle of the pack, but, a couple of wins here and they start looking more efficient. All of a sudden they start climbing to 15, which is really, I think, where we had them before the season and where I expect them to be most of this season.
Bottom 5. Get them on face, ESPN. I know what they're doing. they're not a bottom 5 team. I've seen a lot of teams this year. A lot of teams are, you got a number of teams that just stink. Patriots are not a bottom 5 team. I would push back and say, if you want to look at the silver linings, let's give a little optimism here. They played Miami super tight on the road, first game of the year, which they always have a tough time winning in Miami. Played them tight, right? They obviously, you mentioned they beat Pittsburgh. Against Baltimore, that's a one-possession game with them turning the football over 3 times, 4 times in that football game. So, I think you look at that and you say that could be an anomaly. Lamar Jackson killed them, but they turned the ball over a ton, and it was still a one-possession game. And then last week, again, you push it into overtime, and you had a chance to win that game in regulation. You had a chance to win that game in overtime with your third-string quarterback. So circumstances, context matter. ESPN, as we know, not every single person that works for that company, but ESPN, I wouldn't say their strong point is context and in-depth analysis across the board. You talked with Christian Barmore before we get into this Lions game on Sunday. You talked to Barmore about his start. What do you have to say, Greg?
Yeah, I was in the locker room yesterday, and Christian was in there, and I just struck up a conversation with him, and nothing on the record. I didn't have my recorder out. Not that, he didn't know that he was on the record, but, we just sort of chatted. I just said, hey, how you doing? How you dealing with things so far? And, I brought up to him about how much more attention he's getting this year. And it sounds like that's been pointed out to him by the coaches. And, he said, look, he takes that as a sign of respect. And, he does realize that he's going to have to make adjustments and be better. I was looking back at his stats from last year, and he has, I think I have him for 6 pressures in the 4 games so far. His lowest 4-game stretch last year was 7.5. But I will say that he kind of started slow. He did start slowly last year, and then all of a sudden the Jets game in week 6 was sort of like his bust out game, and then he was really good until the end of the season. Maybe he's a slow starter, but he definitely is getting extra attention. It doesn't seem like he's overly worried about it. He's still a confident player, and he's looking to turn it around pretty soon.
Nice. Yeah, I think he needs some help. Godchaux not playing great. Guy is banged up. He's not playing now. He definitely, they need to give him a little bit of help up front and get him matched up every once in a while, one-on-one, and let him take advantage of some matchups, because I do think he, along with Judon, are the 2 most talented guys in that front 7. So I hope that the other guys kind of step up and help him a little bit. And he also, as you said, adjusts and he steps up a little bit. Before we get to the Lions game, Greg, let's talk about Athletic Greens.
I started taking AG1 because I wanted to make sure I was getting all the vitamins and nutritional supplements I needed in one place. Now I've been on it for 3 months, and I love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy, even though it's one of those green juices. I know, and in a lot of other places you're like, bleh. No, but this is good. It has a mild tropical taste, a little bit minty, and I actually look forward to it each morning. So what is this stuff? With 1 delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all the things you're looking for. I take it first thing in the morning. It's now part of my routine, and I'd be lost without it. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health and make sure you get what you need. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Bedard. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Bedard to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Tremendous product. Thanks to Athletic Greens for jumping on board with us. And don't forget the code is Bedard, BEDARD. Lions, Patriots, Sunday. Can the Patriots win, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, to me, the number one thing in this game, and it's a reason why I'll I'll like the Patriots in this game, and also the desperation factor is, to me, this is a tackling game on both sides. Like I think the Lions have ascended to where they are offensively, which is basically, they're the number one scoring team on offense in the league. They're the last place scoring team on defense in the league. And I think their offense has gotten there because they've played teams that haven't tackled very well. They haven't had a high degree of difficulty so far. They've gotten into some shootouts. I know the Patriots will tackle a lot better in this game. And the other thing is, on defense, they miss a ton of tackles too. I mean, they're not overly talented to begin with, but I just don't think the fundamentals are there. I think I watched the whole Hard Knocks series. I don't know if you did, but what I noticed with them in terms of their coaching is, Aaron Glenn's out there, the defensive coordinator, very smart player. Not surprised he's going to be a head coach someday, but you watch them in practice and he's more preoccupied with talking trash with Deuce Staley, when it's like, dude, why don't you just, he seems enamored with the big play instead of like, let's do things the right way. And I just don't think this defense is doing things the right way. They need to go back to basics, because if they don't start tackling better, and the Patriots have some guys who can make you miss, mainly the guys in the backfield, and, also Kendrick Bourne. It'd be nice if this was a big Kendrick Bourne game, but I think that the Patriots are clearly the better team fundamentally, and I think that's going to sort of be the theme of this game.
Hard Knocks, to me, like, encapsulates the Lions. Great for TV. The coaching staff was a lot of fun, and Dan Campbell's crying in like the third practice of camp. Yep. And, Glenn and Staley are going after each other and blah, blah, blah. But a little too emotional for me. Like, I can't imagine, a lot of coaches in the league getting so emotional during training camp. Look, having a good cry is fine. It's 2022. That's allowed, certainly. But when you're a football coach and you're crying in front of your football team by like the third practice, you might want to ratchet it back a little bit. I think there are a couple things. If Detroit is healthy, because like 4 or 5 of their top receivers were out of practice yesterday. If that's the case, then good luck to them. If they're healthy, they do have an explosive offense. If you don't mind the P's and Q's, and you got Bailey Zappe still, third string quarterback. So you look at those kinds of things just to kind of highlight what Greg said statistically. So when you look at this offense, they're number 1 in yards per play, yards per game, yards per carry. They're second in the league in red zone offense. They are 9th in the league in pass yards per play, just in case you think all of the offense is running the football and Jared Goff doesn't do much. No, they're top 10 in pass yards per play. But here are the issues. Their offensive line stinks out loud. They are 27th in the NFL in pass block win rate. They are not good protecting Jared Goff. They are also 19th in run block win rate. So their offensive line is mediocre to terrible, and their defense is atrocious. They're dead last in points per game, as Greg mentioned. They're dead last in third down defense. They're dead last in red zone defense. They're dead last in opposing yards per carry. They're second to last in pass rush win rate. So, defensively, they are just a disaster, which leads us to pretty soon the game.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to push back on one thing, though. I think their offensive line has had a rough go with injuries. Like, they're missing Jonah Jackson out there. They've had Dan Skipper at left guard. I mean, Dan Skipper's not even a right tackle in this league. We all know Dan Skipper. Dan Skipper, he's a journeyman. He could be out there. He's been pressed into service there. They've had some injuries on the interior, but if they're healthy, this offensive line's damn good. Their tackles, Decker at left tackle, I would say he's slightly above average. Penei Sewell at right tackle is one of the best in the league, and Frank Ragnow, who's also dealing with injuries, is one of the best centers in the league. And if they get their guards back, like, the worst case scenario for the Patriots is that the Lions sort of reset here. They get healthy on the offensive line. They say, look, we're going up against the third string quarterback, and as long as we don't turn the ball over and we tackle better on defense and we just keep the plays in front of us, on defense and we just run the ball and don't let Jared Goff be Jared Goff and, we play very conservative, then I think that's the path to victory for the Lions, and I think they can do that. It's just, will they do that? I doubt that. Just to give some of the advanced analytics on the Lions, they're 7th in offensive DVOA. Their pass offense is 12th. Their rush offense is 4th. Defensively, they are dead last in just about everything. They are 32nd overall. Their pass defense is 24th. Their run defense is 32nd, and by a lot. Not a little bit in terms of advanced analytics, a lot. So this is almost setting up as a perfect Bailey Zappe game, which is only gonna give people more fever, and we're gonna have to talk about this again for another week.
I got a fever for the Zappe. Yeah, I mean, look. Defensively, they're just they're terrible. They're awful. Geno Smith played great against this defense last week. I think that tells you everything you need to know. The offensive line, yes, they have the potential to be good to really good. Yeah. As you mentioned, it's just I'm giving you what they've been. And Greg gave you the context a little bit, so I gave you the ESPN version of the offensive line, and Greg dug in a little bit there. But if those guys come back healthy, if they're ready to play, it's not always easy to parachute in, but what they've dealt with early on in the season, the offensive line has not been good. Sewell is a beast. A lot of people thought Cincinnati should have drafted him instead of Jamar Chase. He was great at Oregon. So there's no doubt he's really, really good. And Ragnow is also physically kind of just imposing and will smash people in the face. So the O-line could be good. Potentially, but so far they haven't due to injuries and some other issues. All right, let's get to the game pick. Greg wants us to mention.
Yep.
Pump the tires a little bit here. Let's pump our tires a little bit. Pump.
I got a fever.
We're 4-0 this season. We're 4-0 straight up, and we're 4-0 against the spread. So take that. This week, Patriots are giving 3 to the Lions. I want to go first because it always seems like I'm bandwagon jumping.
Go ahead.
I'm copying what Greg says. So I'm going to go first. Look, this is a somewhat dangerous game to bet. And the reason is because you have a third string quarterback on one side and you've got Jared Goff on the other. And I'm not really sure, like Greg just said, the best way for Detroit to win this game. I have no idea what to expect from them. I don't think they're a very well-coached team. So there's a number of different ways this game could go, but you got to make a pick. I'm taking the Pats -3, and I would say kind of just under the 45. And I mean just under. I got it 27-17. Goff turns the football over once or twice. Pats win by 10. They move to 2-3. What say you, Greg?
Very similar lines. I mean, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to dive in a little bit more to Lions film after we're done here. So, my ultimate pick will be on BSJ like it always is for Sunday in terms of, when I dial it down to what I think the score's going to be. But I do think that this is desperation mode for the Patriots. God forbid they after, that huge moral victory against the Packers, which I heard more conversation about today with Beadle and Zoe and Burt Breer was on. They better win this game. That's all I have to say. Since they learned so much and gained so much from a close loss to the Packers, they should blow this team out. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that they're all that good, and the quarterback position is not helping things. I doubt that Brian Hoyer is able to start this week, and the whole Tua, where we are with Tua. So, but I do like the Patriots. I think that their defense is much better. I do think that they'll get a couple turnovers. I think they'll tackle really well. I think that the Lions are atrocious on defense, and that won't get any better this week. I see Patriots 24, Lions 20. So right under. Did we both have the same thing? Both under?
We had both under with 44 instead of the over-under is a 45, by the way. And we both have it at 44 points. So ipso facto, don't feel too confident betting that over-under, folks. All right, let's get to the BSJ member question today. Greg, what do you got for me?
So VA Ronnie wrote in, and this is something we didn't bring up, so it'll be good to talk about. Tyquan Thornton would be a nice add at some point. I just want to see him play. Nice to get Lawrence Guy back, but wasn't Godchaux supposed to be the answer on run defense? They paid him, so he should be better, right? Great questions. So Tyquan Thornton, apparently, I didn't see the transaction. He was at practice, but I don't know if it's official. I missed it last night, whether he was on the NFL transactions that he was activated, started his 21-day window to practice. So at least he was at practice, so we know that he's close to coming back and starting that clock. I doubt that he would be back this week. They're probably just trying to get him into shape, and that could be a couple-week process. Could be a week. I don't know. It would be really nice to have him back. He's a young player. He needs to play. He needs to get practice reps, all that stuff. That's invaluable as far as, learning. And I think that, he can help this offense. What role we'll have to see, because there are guys who are having a tough time getting playing time. Kendrick Bourne, guys having a tough time getting targets, Hunter Henry, and then you add somebody else into the mix that maybe the coaching staff is a little bit more invested in because they picked this guy in the draft. It should make for a more interesting dynamic, but yeah, he should be back. Godchaux, we sort of talked about in Tuesday's pod, but yeah, I thought he played like garbage in the first half. And I'm sorry, but I'll continue to push back on Bill Belichick saying he's one of the best defensive linemen in the league. It's just flat out not true. Can he play like that when he wants to play? Like in the second half and overtime against the Packers, did he play like that? Yes. Did he play like that against Buffalo in the win game? Yes. But he doesn't do it on a day. He doesn't even do it consistently in a game, let alone consecutive games. So, that's a bunch of crap, and the Patriots' porous run defense is part of that. And, it does not look like money well spent. And a lot of people were sort of chuckling when Bill extended Davon Godchaux, and that was really more to gain cap space than anything else than to actually reward him. But, he's a middle-of-the-road interior defensive lineman, getting paid a really nice salary.
Godchaux, we talked about it last pod. Godchaux and Jake Bailey, 2 extensions that were head scratchers. Both of them still remain head scratchers. Maybe Belichick gets the last laugh as the year goes on, but it didn't make much sense when it happened aside from creating cap space, as Greg said. And here we are, both guys looking like the guys they were last year. Bailey has stunk and Godchaux's been inconsistent. So there you have it. He's Greg. I'm Nick. I will be off for the podcast next week for the first podcast, the reaction to the Lions. I will be back later on in the week to preview the next game. So hopefully everybody is good and well and healthy.
You're going to be out with Zappe fever already. You're already calling in with Zappe fever.
Zappe fever. I'm at about a 102. If he wins on Sunday, it might be 105. Anyway, so everybody enjoy the game on Sunday. Thanks to Athletic Greens. Until then, be good, be safe, and be healthy.